actually had the funds. I couldn't have afforded all of it. Like it was so much money, like I couldn't have done it. And this is probably the first time I've actually talked about this, but I've relapsed. I'm not afraid to say that to you guys, so you don't turn into a tiger roll. I am basically so pale that I glow in the dark. Oh, look at that bloody bird over there. I want to look like a fetus forever, basically, let's be honest. So I could then pay for the rest of the planners. Basically, I had to send my poop off in the mail. It was great. Hello guys, and welcome back to my channel. I'm so excited for today's video because I haven't done a Q&A, or I guess like a life update vlog in ages. I actually can't remember the last time I did it. It would have been like late last year, because we all know I had another break later in the year last year. So I thought it was about time we reconvened together so you can find out all the things going on. And I did post a question box on Instagram, and there's such a different range of questions, some juicy questions which I'm going to answer, but they're just all different types. So I think this is going to be really good, and there's some helpful tips in here I think that will help as well. All right, so let's get into the first question. What is your nutrition and workout plan? And I definitely am going to be doing like a proper vlog on this, like my routine that's currently happening, because I do feel like, you know, as your life changes, work situations changes, you know, there's maybe an injury that happens, like you do have to shift things around. But for me, I've been fairly consistent, like very consistent with my exercise for, as you guys know, for like 10 years. I used to not even go to the gym, and I used to just drink beer, and I was just a piece head, and basically just was very unhealthy and very unhappy. And I'm sure you guys would have already watched my health and fitness journey when I lost the 25 kilos and changed my whole life, and I'll link it below if you haven't, if you're new here. But yeah, so basically right now, right in this moment, my exercise routine, I usually go to the gym 5 to 6 times a week. It's not always that way. I do like to go at least 5, and that's just what works for me. Again, I actually find the gym is honestly like my me time. It helps me so much with my mental health, even with my ADHD, and it's just something I truly enjoy. It doesn't feel forced, and it's just a habit. It really is a habit. And, you know, I do get asked a lot about motivation. Like, how do you even be motivated to go to the gym that much? And for me, it's like with any habit. You brush your teeth, you have your cup of coffee. It's something you don't even think about, and you just do it. And although, you know, at the start, if you're starting out with exercise and stuff, it can feel uncomfortable, but I do feel like that level of feeling uncomfortable is usually because of a few different things. It's A, because you don't know what you're doing, and your brain likes things that is familiar. So there's a few different things in that one point where, like, it's a new gym, that's unfamiliar. You don't really know what you're doing, that's unfamiliar. So that's gonna make you feel so uncomfortable. And also just, you know, when you're not necessarily fit, it is uncomfortable at first. Like I remember back a long time ago, there was like a little step, and I did one of my first PT sessions. There was this little step, and I was just simply stepping up and down. And do you know how many times I had to sit down because I thought I was going to pass out? I was literally like 20 years old, and I had gained 25 kilos in a year, and it wasn't about the weight, which I always say, disclaimer, because healthy looks different on every single person. But this was like an abundance of change for my body in a year. And I just remember, like, obviously it was uncomfortable because I was so unfit, but it's so exhilarating when you do start to get fitter. Like, it's so amazing, and you want to be in competition with yourself. So anyway, I'm kind of going on a tangent. So current workout routine, I tend to do 3 days for legs or 3 days for glutes, because glutes is something I've always had a grandma bum. And like everyone else, we want a nice butt. So I do 3 days of legs a week. Even with my moon boot, I still manage to do that because you can still do a lot. And then I do 2 upper body days as well. Now that's usually 5. And if I do go to the gym on like a Saturday or later on, I will just do like a full body workout or like an ab circuit, or do something like that. So that's what I do. I don't do any HIIT or intense cardio at all. None. Because basically what I found out a year or 2 ago, I worked with my naturopath, Fran Dargaville. She's amazing. I actually did a podcast with her a couple weeks ago. You should definitely listen. I'll link it below, about why gut health is so important. But basically what I found out is that, you know, like say you're 25 years old, you can get up early, you go to the gym, you smash yourself, and you can still have energy for the rest of the day. And then, you know, later in life, throw in a couple of kids, throw in a lot of pressures at work and things like that, and all the added responsibilities that come with it. And we start wondering like, why am I not feeling great after a HIIT session? Or why am I feeling like I've just got no energy and I just don't even want to do it? And that's because like we're already at, like as our lives progress and we get all these added responsibilities, like we already have a baseline level of stress. And then as that gets higher, if you're going to add in HIIT or high intense cardio, which is what that is, that's adding to that stress. So your quota is this way up. So I would find I'd get sick easy, I had no energy. And then when I realized like my intense cardio sessions weren't actually helping me at all, I cut them out, and now all I do is walk. I love walking, have a walking pad, all that type of stuff. So if you're someone who feels really like lethargic, low in energy, and you're just like beating yourself up, you're like, I used to be able to do this when I was younger and now I can't. Well, that's why. Because life happens, kids happen, and just don't be hard on yourself. So that is just, it just really was so interesting. It was confronting at first, especially when you're someone into exercise. You're like, no, I need to do the hard cardio. And then you realize you're actually not helping yourself at all. So then I gave it up. So now all I do is, I do that split. So 3 lower, 2 upper, walking every day. I hit 8K steps because for me, when I was aiming for 10K steps, it was just too far. So then I'd give up. So like I said before in my other vlogs, less is more sometimes, not when it comes to food, but in terms of your goals, you really just want to be smart about it. Like I talked about in like the start of the year when I've taken you guys through my 2024 reset roadmap, you just need to be realistic with yourself, because you're more likely, if your goal's here and you're here, you're more likely to bridge that gap. But if your goal's here and you're here at the end of each day or whatever the goal is, that's a long way to go. So just bring it back a bit, and it's just a bit more, it's a bit easier, more realistic. In terms of nutrition, I like a whole range of foods. As you guys know, I am gluten intolerant, but I have been trying to reintroduce it again. I found out I was gluten intolerant from I had this like, basically I had to send my poop off in the mail. It was great. It was so bad. It was one of these tests I had to do, and I found out I had all these like parasites and things like the majority of people do. And I found out I'm intolerant to gluten. So that's why I was really like sluggish, bloating, all the things. So basically cut it out for a long time and I felt so much better. It really did help also like with my skin and like clearing that up a bit too. So I'm mostly gluten-free, mostly. And for breakfast, like I kind of just change it up, but I have the same breakfast every day. I have the quinoa porridge with protein in it, banana and peanut butter. Then I do like to have some high protein snacks in between. So whether that's like my STEPHPASE clean treats, I have the banana muffins, which are so good and they got protein in them, and I have that with some fruit. Lunch is usually different each day. I do like prepping ahead. So I really like even my little platters, which have, Twiggy sticks and like ham and then capsicum and carrot, and then with some Laughing Cow cheese and some gluten-free crackers, and that's like my lunch. And it's got your protein, it's got your good fats, it's got your veggies and stuff in there, and I really like that. And then for dinner, it's always different too. I tend to do like prawn pesto pasta, we'll make like burgers, just all the recipes I've shared on Instagram, I have them a lot. And then easy dinners, just like meat and veg and stuff like that. So after dinner, I'll have my STEPHPASE Clean Treats mug cake, because that is delicious and I love it. And I also have, there's like this, put a photo here, but it's this brand of coconut water, and I hate coconut water, it tastes like shit, but it's passion fruit flavor and it's so yum and it's delicious, and I like that too. So that's kind of what I have, and I do have other snacks throughout the day, but it's usually just like some form of protein, whether that's just like cold cuts, fruit, dairy-free yogurt. What else do I have? Just stuff like that. So that's kind of what I eat. I don't restrict myself because I feel like I've done that before. You guys know I went down a really bad path with that, with restriction, and it's just like life's too short. And I think as long as you're doing like the 80-20 rule, where like 80% of the time you're eating well, like whole foods, things like that, 20% of the time, enjoy yourself. And doing things like meal prep on the weekends really helps. So like I love my Mexican pulled beef because I have that so much. I have it for lunches, I have that for dinners, and I put it in like a burrito bowl or tacos or whatever. It's bloody delicious. All right, I talked for ages on that question. Next one. Here's a good one. How did you get your business off the ground in early days? So I'm assuming you are talking about STEPHPASE planners. With that, and even now, still don't know what I'm doing. I'm not going to sit here. Honestly, a lot of business owners, we just don't know what we're doing. We're just winging it. But basically, it was 2019 Oh no, it was actually the end of 2018. I was sitting on the lounge with my cousins and I said to them, it was like Christmas time, and I said, what do you guys think if I made a planner? Because I've always loved planners, and again, because as you guys know, I have ADHD, which I was diagnosed with ADD as a child, which was rare back then because I was a girl as well. And then obviously later on got re-diagnosed because now they know, as like girls back then with ADD, because we didn't present the hyperactivity, because the hyperactivity is in our brain, they would give us ADD. So they diagnosed me with ADD and anxiety. And then also like later on in life, you know, we start seeing more, there's like things on TikTok and things like that. And it really got me thinking, I'm like, I should probably do something about mine. And it made me realize like, oh, it's like a blanket thing. So it's like ADHD. So I got re-diagnosed with it. I was quite severe, which I've always known because again, like I'm very forgetful. I do struggle with prioritizing. If it's out of sight, it's out of mind. I lose things. I'm really bad with time management, which people get really surprised with. So for me, I've always needed to write things down, because if I don't, I literally wouldn't be able to live my life. And it's just too much up here. Up here's so crazy. And if that type of thing sounds like you, because you used to, like, you get so frustrated with yourself, so frustrated. I'm going on a tangent as usual. So please just, if you feel like that's you, just go get it checked. Yeah, so basically the point of the story was I've always loved planners, I've always needed them, and I just never found one that was beautiful and then covered all aspects of my life, because you know, there's like your life admin, there's health, there's budgeting, there's so much in there. And like, I feel like that's why, because I genuinely needed it so bad, and I'd come up with my own planning sheets, which at the start, when I first started my blog, you guys remember I used to always post heaps of free downloads, which I still do, but I used to do a lot of free downloads, because they were planning tools I created for myself. So things like the gift planning and things like holiday packing checklists, because otherwise it's too much. Anyway, so basically I said it to my cousins. My cousins were like, do it. And Ryan was all behind me. Of course, I had no idea how to even start. So basically what happens is I found a graphic designer, I drew out and was really specific, and like had this huge document of what I wanted in it, the headings, like everything, like built it out. And there was a lot of drawing that was really bad because I can't draw for shit. Worked with my graphic designer, and then it goes into the process of finding like a manufacturer, which was very scary because there's like so many manufacturers, and they're overseas, and it's just very daunting. That took me a year and a bit. And then while I did that, I was saving up, and I honestly, my goal was to sell 1,000, like maybe 2,000 in a couple of years. So what I did, I think I ordered 1,000, which I saved up for the deposit. And then when I launched it, it went off and they sold out straight away. And what the good thing is, because I did a pre-sale. So basically what happened was I put them on pre-sale, I think, end of September, and it wasn't good because the timing was very close and it was just me packing. Anyway, end of September. And then the good thing about having pre-sales, because you receive the money, so I could then pay for the rest of the planners, because I only had to pay 15%, pay for the rest of the planners, and then I also needed to make another order. So what the good thing about that was I actually had the funds. I couldn't have afforded all of it. Like it was so much money, like I couldn't have done it. So doing things like pre-sale and that, but make sure you plan it really well. And also, obviously, like I've run businesses before. I had my own makeup artistry business. My blog itself was a business working with brands and things like that. So basic bookkeeping, I was on top of, but this was another level, and it just kind of graduated and kept getting bigger. So make sure you get a proper bookkeeper, guys, because if you do one thing wrong with tax and stuff, it will bite you in the butt. Actually, make sure you pay for your, register your business name, your ABN, everything, and even get things trademarked as well, like if you can, because you do not want people taking your stuff, because that's not fun. So yes, that is pretty much how I did it in the early days. I did use a lot of different like websites and things. Like I did things so slow back in the day. Like I was printing each label off individually because I didn't know there was a system you could get that would print them all off. So I remember I'd get up at 3 o'clock in the morning. It would take me 10 minutes to print off one label. And that year alone, I had to reorder. So it was thousands and thousands and thousands of orders, and it was a shit show. So that's pretty much it. And I did everything. I was the customer service, I was social media, I was packing planners, all of the things. I was everything, logistics. But yeah, and look where we are now. It's insane. And I still don't know what I'm doing. All right, next question. Could I ask, which spots do you get Botox fillers? Is this a preventative treatment? So yes, I've gotten Botox, I think, since Harper was born. but I would only get it, I think back then I would only get it like twice a year max. And it was mostly because I found my makeup was settling in my forehead a little bit. And again, I was a makeup artist, so it was this kind of, I know you just pay attention to that type of thing. So I started getting it then, and I got filler probably around the same time. So now, just basically what I do now is I'll get 1/2 ml of filler in my lips. My lips were already naturally quite plump, big, I don't know. And I just like, it's really good for hydration too. So I will get, now I'll do like 1/2 ml of filler just in my lips, which gives them just like a tiny bit of extra zhuzh. And I get Botox in my crow's feet, forehead and frown lines. I was getting Botox in my jaw because one thing I do is I clench a lot and it really hurts. But I unfortunately go to a place once, and if they go too far forward, and this is very rare by the way, like I probably will go and get Botox in my jaw again because it really, really helps. Like it just releases it. But they went a bit too far forward. So then my smile on one side for like 3 months was off. Like I was like, I can't even do it now. But yeah, it messed up my smile, and it was just not a good time because I looked really like cranky on one side. Obviously like things like that, that's pretty rare. So I would go to a really good place. It's just preventative. I want to look like a fetus forever, basically, let's be honest. Tips for not taking on other people's negative moods. That's a really good one. And I am an empath. I feel everything. And it sucks because honestly, someone walks into a room and they're in a certain state, I will know, I can feel it in my bones. And I do carry that a lot, even online. Like obviously I get a lot of messages and things like that. And it's important too, like a lot of us in everyday life and a lot of people's jobs, like it's so hard to not let others affect us. And it's so important to obviously, you know, feel for them, be there for them, but it's another thing to actually like let that affect your mood and you take it home with you. So I think it's a very important thing to think about. So I feel like for me, when this happens, I try to picture myself, and I used to do this too when I was a kid, just in general, to just like help with what was going on around me. I would picture myself in a bubble, and I would say I'd say to myself, nothing is going to get into my happy bubble or my bubble, and it's just going to bounce right off. So even just like visualizing that, and also acknowledging it, that that's their energy and it's not yours. Like that's their thing to carry. And whilst you can be supportive and listen, that's not for you to carry. Another thing is recognizing too that you don't have to fix it. And I'm definitely someone, I always felt like I had to fix things for people, but you don't have to do that. It's not for you to do. And I think too, one that really affects us is if they're complaining and in that negative state, if you start to join in, then you straight away, like you're in it with them. You're in it. So again, acknowledge it, talk to them about it, but don't like chip in with and then feed into that energy. Just don't do it. And also boundaries too. Like if you know we all know those people who are just always, I love all types of people, but there is energy suckers and there's energy givers. So the people that are more energy suckers and the people who are a bit more negative, just have boundaries and just like let yourself mentally prepare to be in their presence. And if obviously it's a work colleague or a family member, just remembering it's for them to carry, it's not for you to carry. Because I do know it's hard, it's bloody hard. Anyway, and I also, one thing I like to do is I like to change the subject. I'm like, oh, look at that bloody bird over there. I don't know. All right, next question. Tan routine. I've got so many of you guys asking me this question about my tanning routine. I am basically so pale that I glow in the dark. I even like give off a blue color because I'm so pale. I don't tan in the sun. Absolutely not. My dad, as you guys know, he passed away from lymphoma. We believe it's because, so my dad used to always get melanomas cut out. Every time he would go, every 3 months, my dad would get an abundance of melanomas cut out of his skin. He has a lot of freckles and I have freckles as well, and we're both fair, so I've got to be very careful. But when he was younger, he'd be out in the surf and be in the sun and things like that, and he would tan. But of course, tanning doesn't mean you're safe. Like it doesn't mean we can do that. So yeah, there was one melanoma that came up, like, I swear it was like 6 weeks just after he got checked, and it was so fast, and they weren't sure if they got it all, and they weren't sure if it went to his lymph nodes, and it did. So I'm very vigilant with sunscreen, even just with anti-aging too. Like sunscreen is the best thing you can use. Anyways, onto the tanning. I tan once a week. I wish I didn't have to, but I do because it just makes me feel good. I like it, makes me, I don't know, makes me feel fresh. So what I do is I scrub the shit out of myself till I bleed. No, scrub the shit out of myself. And then I love the Lust Minerals Tan, which I've run out of, which I need more of. And I also use the Loving Tan. This is a really good one. So I use that with the mitt, and I actually sleep in it, even though it's supposed to be like an hour. I just sleep in it. So I put it everywhere. I moisturize my wrists, my knees, my elbows, my ankles, and then I'll put it everywhere. And then for things like your hands and your feet and your face, I get this little brush and I just put it on there, and then I like rub it in there, and I get in between the fingers, like everywhere, and my feet. It's funny because you guys know I used to have a spray tan machine, which I loved and I used for over 10 years, but it's so cold, especially in this house. We haven't got any room in the garage for it. But then when we went overseas last year, we went to Santorini, and I used tan for the first time, like self-tanning with the foam, and I actually really liked it. It actually came off easier and stuff like that. And then for upkeep, so every second day with upkeep, I'll use a gradual tanning moisturizer. So good. So I use STEPHPASE or Tanologist, and I also like the Loving Tan one. And then with face, for face upkeep, I use Tanologist, and I also use Loving Tan as well. I also really like to use the Lust Minerals Tan, because I really like that Lust Minerals doesn't have like chemicals and stuff in it. It's natural, but you get the tan, and then you put it with some moisturizer and you pop that on your face, and that works really, really well. So that's my tan routine. But the gradual tanning moisturizer, that's the key to making it last, so you don't turn into a tiger roll. Oh, here we go. Do you still drink alcohol? I have told you guys before how I had a pretty long history with alcohol. Again, as someone who suffers from anxiety, which stemmed from my ADHD, which I learned later on in life. Alcohol was the only thing that would quieten my mind. It would stop the chaos that was in my brain. And that was, again, ADHD. And there's actually huge studies done on this, and it says how linked ADHD is to alcohol dependence. And it's because it stops us from dealing with that for a little while, which is nice at the time, but there's repercussions later. Anyways, yeah, through teenage years, early 20s, drank way too much. And you know, like you're partying at that age and things like that. But I was, yeah, just drinking a lot. And then when it came to later in life, I would need to go to the uni bar to have a beer before I did a presentation, like a whole jug of beer, really, let's be honest. And it just kept going and going. And then I got to a point where I was having it every day. I was drinking every single day. Obviously not when I was pregnant or when I was breastfeeding the kids, I wouldn't drink then. But when I stopped, I would go back to it. I needed it every evening. And I really got dependent on it, especially once, you know, my business has got really big, and it was up until maybe, a year and a half, 2 years ago, I managed to really like sort myself out with that. And it took me to read this book. It's called The Naked Mind, and it is amazing. I really want to interview her for my podcast because it just really goes into how it works, like how it actually affects us, and why, like once you start the cycle, it's hard to get out of it. It's so hard, and it's because of the chemicals in our brain and all these other things. Anyways, long story short, I really cut back. I would only drink for special occasions, and I was doing that for a couple of years. And this is probably the first time I've actually talked about this, but once Dad got sick, I started drinking a little bit again, here and there. When Dad passed away, I will admit I didn't drink at all because I was already at such a low point. I knew how much lower and how much alcohol affects my anxiety. So I didn't actually drink around the period of time that he passed away. But I think 2 months later, when the grief really started like kicking in, I started drinking again here and there. And then I lost Nan 10 months later, and then I really started kind of getting back in, not nearly like what I used to be, but instead of it being special occasions, it was now maybe a few times a week again. And it's really hard because it's like, you know, as someone like myself, like I felt like I was like, yes, because alcohol really numbs you out, but it also numbs you out from feeling the complete scope of happiness that you can feel. And it really just affects every area of your life in so many different ways. And yeah, I'm the first person to say that, yeah, I got my drinking under wraps. I was only drinking for special occasions. I felt incredible. And then life happened. Life happened death happened, grief happened, and it was the hardest year of my life. And that's something, again, like, I just want you guys to know that, you know, you see these people online and they say like, I've finally done this, I've kicked this bad habit, I've done this. And a lot of the time they are too scared to come out and say like, oh, I've relapsed or I've gone back to that because of, you know, just the judgment around it. But I'm not afraid to say that to you guys, because if I'm not sharing the reality of my life and the ups and downs, and I guess like the tips and tricks that help me get through, it's doing you guys a disservice, and also myself, because I'm not speaking my truth. So right now I'm rereading The Naked Mind. I acknowledge I'm not nearly as bad as I used to be, but again, it's creeping in, and it's so easy for it to creep back into your life with alcohol and any type of addiction and have that hold over you again. So I'm doing that. It's actually quite funny. The days I do certain things in my business that's when I really want to have a drink, because again, with my work, I have a lot of people coming at me every day, and I do feel it's like very overwhelming, and those are the days where I'm like, oh, I need to have a drink. So that's what's going on. So yes, I do still drink alcohol. I'm working on getting back to the part where I'm just drinking on special occasions again. And I'm getting there, really, like I'm doing well, but I'm also, you know, I am being kind to myself because I've had a fuckload of grief happening to me, and I'm only human. But I know how much better I'm going to feel once I do have this under wraps again, because it is life-changing. It really is. Once you can get alcohol's chokehold off you, the world just is so much brighter. It really, really is. We'll do one more question. Oh, this is a good one. What's on your bedside table? Let's go have a look. All right, here is the bedside table. So as you guys can see, I've got my big Kindle holder. So I just like move her over here when I'm laying in bed. I love this, honestly. So people asking for my Kindle accessories, like the cover, the stickers, and this. The cover and the pop socket is from Amazon. The stickers were from Etsy, and the little remote thing, which is this and this, that's from Amazon as well. I'll link my Amazon storefront for you guys. So I've got that. She's amazing, love her. And that's really good too. Honestly, guys, if you are trying to get back into reading as well and you hate having a reading lamp, Kindles are awesome. Of course, my STEPHPASE drink bottle. She's insulated, she's beautiful. I got a diffuser. I actually don't use her anymore, to be completely fair. It's from Palm Beach. She's really pretty, but I use this cool little rain thing. She's so cute, watch. So it makes a little rain noise and she lights up. I'm obsessed with her. So she's from Amazon. So that's what's there. And then we've got a little dish for jewelry. Of course, I've got my glasses, lip balm, a pen, and then this, of course, is the STEPHPASE. Oh, I can't even open it. Write it out journal. So this is what I love to do in the morning. I do it every single morning, and you've got different prompts for every single day. So if you were trying to get into gratitude journaling, it honestly just changes your day. I'll quickly show you. So each day is different. As you can see, there's really inspiring quotes throughout. At the front is a self-reflection whole section on it, and at the back I've got a whole bank of journal prompts you guys can use as well if you want to do free journaling in the back. So if you're someone that's wanting to get into journaling, honestly, because in the front here I give you all the info on it, like it's just a game changer. It's so good. So that's that one. What else do I have? That's pretty much it. I'm pretty boring. Oh, down here I've got my books, because when I'm reading the Kindle version, I also need to have the physical version. It's two different hobbies, okay? So that is my bedside table. And the actual bedside table, that is from Mocha, which is so good because they're so affordable and they've lasted us for ages. And bedding, as you guys know, is a des. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching today's vlog. I don't know why I'm doing this. If you have any video recommendations or requests, please comment below, and I'll see you guys on Monday. Bye.